So I want to make sure I'm giving you guys what you guys need. I could talk about 800 things for 4 hours on 20 different subjects, including forging knives if you'd like that too. But we're talking about attraction. We're talking about real estate. So what do you guys need to know the most right now? And then we can just dive in and take it from there.
So I think most of the people who are on the call today are looking at how can they build and grow their teams, whether that is a personal production team, whether that's just adding maybe even one buyer's agent, whether that's building an EXP organization, if they're at EXP, whether that's if you are own a brokerage or are building a brokerage, what that would look like for you to build and grow your organization. I think a lot of agents make the mistake of trying to attract people maybe that are just like them. And
Yes.
if it's for a team, that doesn't always make sense, right? If you're building an EXP organization, or if you're at another brokerage and you're trying to bring on agents, that can have a benefit. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I don't know, anyone else have anything they want to particularly hear about?
Hi, Julie.
Hey, Russ, how are you? Hi, everybody.
Your neck of the woods.
Yeah, just right down the street.
Yep, it's nice and rainy here. Oh my gosh, what's happening?
Just telling them my in-laws called, and my wife was talking to my in-laws. They're in Novi, and they're at 12 Mile, and they're like, it's snowing here. And there's like a line of snow.
1 degree, 2 degrees difference.
Literally 2 miles south. It's rain. Yeah.
One of the first times I went out to Michigan for Lee and Julie, they put on an event, and
Nice.
I said, I'm not coming if there's snow. And so they're like, hey, there's no snow here right now. And right in the middle of the event, you remember that? It started snowing.
It was Brent Goff's event at Meadowbrook, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
I know Pat Hayes and the gang did a big event back at the Marriott on 6 Mile, and that thing was like 17 degrees below zero, and they all flew in from Texas. And I'm like,
yes, that's where Marguerite always stays when she comes, that hotel. Yeah. I remember that.
Actually, that hotel's that's the hotel that I stayed. My wife and I stayed at on our honeymoon evening. It was
Oh, nice.
first night of our honeymoon. We got married, and then we went there for the first night, and then we went to Ohio, and then we flew down south to Tampa. So it was wild stuff. So that hotel goes back. I knew the broker or the owner manager at the time, so it was a good setup. So good little hotel.
Awesome.
All right, so Marguerite, so question number one. So let's rephrase this, okay? Team building, organization building, people building, adding any type of people to your organization. I'd say I did a post on social media the other day that said there's 3 lists you need to make to be able to sort through how to be more effective this year. Okay, so on the first list, you want to do, what do you do? Okay, I want to make a list of the things that I do. On the second list, I want to write down a list of the things I like to do, and then on the third list, I want to have a list of the things I don't like, and then or don't do well. Okay, so here's the reason why. So we spend a lot of our time in our business, and a lot of people have been teaching and training. You want to set yourself up to mitigate your weak spots, right? So you want to work on your weak spots. You want to work on your weak spots. And the problem is there are some people that are just never going to get better at their weak spot stuff. So if you get really clear on what you do well, and you get really clear on what you like, then pretty much almost everything else you should be finding somebody else to do for you. And here's the reason why. If you can do a 10% shift in something you do 90% well, you move up 9%. If you do a 10% shift on something you do 10%, you got a 1% shift. So you got to do 9 times more shift on a weakness than you do on a strength. So a small move on a strength gives you a massive result over time. A big move on a weakness gives you a small move over extended periods of time. So I'm not saying don't minimize your weakness. Like, one of my weaknesses is that I offend a lot of people. Okay, that one work on. Okay, unless you're in Michigan, then just say whatever you want. The people around here are like, whatever. Nobody gets offended here. You got old ladies dropping F-bombs in the restaurant behind you. Like, nobody here. It's just not the way it rolls here. It's a pretty direct way of talking to people here. It doesn't always work. You don't take that to California, by the way. California's, oh, you're blackballed. We're not even letting you over the border anymore, Michigan people. Okay, so with that said, it's really important that we understand that the biggest gains we can make are by focusing on the things we do well and the things we like. Because here's the deal. You are more likely to do something you like than to do something you don't like. i.e., how many of you love losing weight? I like the process of gaining weight. I don't like the results of gaining weight, but I like the things you do to gain weight. But it's a matter of, if you don't like running, getting somebody to run when they don't like running is damn near impossible. But if you love to bike, you can get somebody to ride 5,000 miles a year if they love to bike, if you point them in the right direction. So it's a matter of getting really clear on what you do and what you like. So what you can do is you can write this list of what you do well. And then on the like part, you can just circle the things you do well and just make sure you're spending the majority of your time doing that stuff. A lot of people will say, Russ, but the other stuff's got to get done. Yes. Perfect person to hire perfect person and perfect stuff to hire somebody for. So what happens when we're looking at our real estate industry and our real estate business, if you're working in your sweet spot in your wheelhouse, you should be between $300 and $500 an hour on your business building, money making activities. $300 to $500 an hour. Just had a conversation with a lady yesterday. She said, Russ, this is Julianne out of Orlando, Florida. And she said, Russ, I realized last year at the end of the year when I started running the math on how much I make when I do a transaction and what my hourly rate was, I didn't realize that my hourly rate was between $300 and $500 per hour when I actually ran the math on what I actually did. Not the I'm working hard part of the game. It's the actual time, energy, and effort it takes to do a listing, actual time, energy, and effort it takes to work a buyer if it's a reasonable, normal deal. Most of the real estate agents are running in the $300 to $500 an hour range. Let me ask you this. Should you be spending half of your day doing things that you don't like that should be able to be paid out? You can pay somebody between $20 and $50 an hour. For every hour you spend working on $20 to $50 an hour activities that you could have an administrative person for, or an assistant type of person, or an admin person, or some other person handling paperwork and back-end stuff and knocking details and pushing compliant parts and all the rest of those things, making follow-up phone calls just to make sure shit got done. Okay. All of that stuff is $20 to $50 an hour activity. For every one of those hours that you're working on that, you're losing $300. Right. So when we're looking at our business and we're looking at what we're doing, number one, we got to get really clear on what we're doing from a business person standpoint. I got really clear on what I'm doing. And then number two, I got to get really clear on where my money's really coming from. Okay. So I want you to spend the majority of your time doing the things that generate you massive amounts of money. So what are your skill sets that generate you massive amount of money? Getting that person to talk to you and see you as their expert, that's money-making stuff, right? Adding someone to your sphere of influence is money-making stuff. Getting somebody to want to show houses with you or see houses with you, that's moneymaker. Having somebody who wants to talk about listing their house, it's moneymaker stuff, okay? Writing contracts, moneymaker stuff. Closing deals, moneymaker stuff. All the stuff between contract and close, let somebody else touch. Okay, so a lot of people are like, Russ, I don't really have time to do this building my team / attraction thing. Well, yeah, you do. You're just filling it up with a bunch of dog crap that doesn't make you any money. So let's be real, okay? Let's get really clear on what we should be working on, number one, and then let's focus on doing those things and make sure you're doing the stuff that you do well. So most of you guys should be great at helping people buy and sell houses. Most of you should be great at helping people negotiate deals and pricing houses and being an expert and talking experty stuff. If you're not, then that stuff, if you don't do that stuff well or like doing that, you're in the wrong business. And sometimes, guys, that's okay. There have been plenty of times in my life when I look at somebody, I'm like, here are the things that you've got to do well to be successful in this real estate business. I don't really like that stuff. What do you like? They're like, not that stuff. I really don't like people. You're in the wrong business. Okay. No, but this is a quote, guys. This is not me making stuff up. This is actually, it's not one or two times I've heard this. I really don't like people. So here's the fun part about getting into real estate. You get into real estate, you're like, I love houses and I love people. And then 3 years later, freaking hate houses. I freaking hate people. Houses suck. People suck, right? But that is a lot of people's experience because they don't know how to actually work the system and build the business. So you got to get really good at doing that $300 to $500 hour activities and then start pushing this stuff off, which frees up time. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, I love what you said earlier, Marguerite, about making sure you're finding people that don't match you. So we get a lot of people and they're like, oh, I found this person that's perfect for my team. They're just like me. There are certain crossovers and things that are important to have that are similar enough so you don't just grind each other, want to kill each other. So there's a couple of crossover things you want, but you really want to hire for people that have strengths that you don't have. Okay, so I want to surround myself with people that have strengths that I don't have. So the fun part is, number one, I got to know I'm going all in and I'm doing my job the best I can. And I'm doing a great job of what I'm doing. And I'm making the adjustments to do that. Okay. So then the second thing for me is thinking, okay, as a leader, guys, here's a news flash. As a leader, your number one task really in the end, when you push comes to shove, is to create other leaders. That's like the highest and best use of your time. Because if you don't, what happens is you get this type of scenario. And I'm seeing this quite a bit in the real estate business. And I see this a ton in EXP. And guys, keep in mind, there's no judgment here. This is just observations. Okay. And what happens is these guys over here will say, I'm having this issue. And I go, yeah, you built that issue into your business. And they're like, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. So you guys have heard the phrase EXP will set you free? No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it won't. Can it add some certain types of freedom? Absolutely. But unless you figure out a way to not have your leadership structure look like this, you don't have freedom. You have a gilded cage that you created that pays you a shit ton of money. That's great. But if you can't step away from this thing for a month or two and have it continue moving on without you being involved in it on a day-to-day basis, you're not a leader. You're an employee. You're not an owner. You're an employee. So we see a lot of people building these businesses and they go and they say, okay, natural progression looks like this. I'm a real estate agent. I do a good job. Now I have to build a team. No, not always. Are there some times you should build a team? Sure. The beauty about being in the EXP system is you have the opportunity to either build a team or you can build an organization. So there are some people that need to build a team, helping people trade time for money, selling houses. Okay. So when you sell a house, you get paid. When you sell a house, you get paid. When your other people on your team sell a house, they get paid. Okay. That's your team. Okay. And then you've got organization, which is the other equation, which I love, which is people equals cash. Okay. Do you have to help them sell a house to get paid on that? Not necessarily. Do you have to help provide an environment where they are capable of selling houses without you having to do it for them and handing them a lead and working the buyer and getting the buyer to the closing table and then splitting the check with them? Okay, not as much you have to do that. So what happens is in this team scenario, can you leverage building a team and building an organization at the same time? Absolutely. But I want to make sure you understand as you're building these teams and these organizations, when you're building a team and building people around you, I want you to start saying, okay, I want to build a team. And part of this team building is I'm going to do the things that I do. I'm going to get somebody that does the things I don't do well to do them on my behalf, which frees me up some time. And then with that time, I'm going to make sure I'm investing in and trying to find other leaders that can replace me. See, in almost every job in the world, you don't want to train your people to be better than you. Because if you train your people to be better than you, guess what? They take your job. Right? In this scenario, if you don't train the people to be better than you or do as well as you never get out of the job. You are stuck in that job for the rest of your life. So when we're talking about building a team, you're looking at a team lead, and then you've got people under that team lead. And it's important that you understand that as we're building a team, we need to start identifying which one of these guys has the opportunity to potentially be an apprentice to the team lead. So I'm building in a succession plan from day one. Okay. Now here's the beautiful part, and it is important that you understand this. As we're talking about the difference between most brokerages and EXP, as you're building a team, what's going to happen is you have a certain natural attrition that happens. Because here's what happens, Marguerite. I do a good job as a team lead. I get Billy here. Billy's doing a great job. I teach, train, coach, and empower Billy. Billy's out there crushing it, doing a great job. And then Billy gets to 25, 30 sales a year, and he's like, I don't need you anymore. I'm doing all the work. And because I've taught him how to work his sphere during that process, he's done a great job of working his sphere of influence. Now, more than half of his business is coming from his sphere of influence. He's, I don't really need you, right? The cool part is that's a good thing. So in building a team and building an organization, a lot of the teams and organizations and the way companies teach is this team lead's job is to get these people and put them in their little nest like this. Here's your people, you put them in the nest. And your job for the rest of your life is to keep those baby birds in that nest. When in fact, you're going to get way better quality people if you start rephrasing the way you're hiring people and looking at building people and adding people. Okay. So when we're talking about adding people to a team, here's one of the verbiages that I've been using. So I've got some additional light here. Let's get that going. We've got some additional verbiage that we're using to help people sort and get better quality people on their team. Would you like to know what that is? Okay. So here's how it goes. Okay. So the person that you want on your team, you don't want somebody that's a doormat, do you? You don't want somebody that's just a hanger on, do you? You don't want somebody that's committed to being the caboose on the train. No matter where the train goes, they'll just drag along behind you. Okay. Are we okay with some of those people? Yes. Listen, employees are great. I'm glad there are people that want to be employees. But really, if you want people that are really going to knock it out of the park on your team, you want the type of people that are motivated, driven, and nice. Okay, so when I'm hiring and looking to hire people and bring people into teams and organizations and companies, I'm looking for motivated, driven, and nice. So here's the problem. As a team lead, I get people that are motivated, driven, and nice, and what happens to them? They come in, they're there for 2 years, and bye. Me as a team lead, I do a great job, and I teach them how to fly, and I teach them how to find worms, and I teach them how to grow their feathers out. And then when they get to that point, Billy's, dude, I don't need you anymore. And he jumps out of the nest and he wants to go do his own thing. So here's a shift in the verbiage. Okay. As you're building a team, I want you to start thinking there's two types of tracks. So when I'm sitting in front of an agent, okay, number one, I want to be very clear. I want to bring people on this team. My job is to teach you, train you, coach you, and get you to the point where you're making over $100,000 a year. That's my ultimate goal as a team lead. Okay, your goal is to do whatever it takes to be able to do the things it takes to be able to get to $100,000 a year. You good with that? They're like, yeah. Okay, great. Here's what your role is. And you got really clear. You got to be very clear on what their role is and what you expect them to do. A lot of team leads don't give their people that they're bringing in expectations on what they expect them to do. And then what happens is the person comes on the team and we've done a really great job of selling them like, we're going to do this and 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 this. And by the way, we can do this and this. Would you like to be on our team? And they're like, yeah, shoot, hell, they're going to do damn near everything for me. So then they come in and they're sitting there going, rub my feet, scratch my back, scratch my butt. You're like, no, right? So we've set up a power move for them where we've empowered them to actually take control and run us over because we've promised them all this stuff. So here's the deal. When we're doing the interview process, we've got to do two things. Number one, I'm going to start off with asking them where they are now. Okay, where are you at now in your business? And they're going to say, but Julie, what are you going to do as a team? Are you going to give me leads? I said, you know what? That's a great question. That's a great question, Russ. But before I get into that, let's go through a couple of things really quick. I want to make sure we're on the same page. Tell me a little bit about your business. Where are you at now? I want them to tell me where they are now. And the reason I want them to tell me that where they are now is because number one, I want to know if they know where they are. And then secondly, I want to know what they like and they don't like. So what do you like and what do you not like? So this beginning of the interview process is you tell me about you, where are you at now? Great. And where do you want to be? Okay. So this recipe that I've showed a bunch of people recently, and it floated around and got run out, and people are sending it to everybody and their brother, was basically this recipe that I use, which is in all of these conversations, which is, it goes something like this. Where are you at now? A, where do you want to be? Okay. Where are you? And where do you want to be? A to B. So my job is to take them from A to B. Where are you at now? And when you ask them that, I want you to ask them that question in a really simple way. Okay. Here's how you ask them the question. Where are you at now? Weird, right? And they're like, but Russ, no, I want to keep it really simple and I want to keep it super open, right? Because the way they answer that question tells me who this person is. The way they respond to that question tells you what type of person that is. If it's an amiable type personality, they're gonna be like, what do you need to know? If it's a controller person, they're gonna be like, what do you want to know? Same words, just a little different way of saying it, right? A promoter person is gonna be like, oh man, I'm having a good time. I love this business. I love people. I just like to go out and have a good time, meet as many people as possible, right? Analyticals, I've been in the business for 47 days. I've worked 17.5 hours on average per day. Got their slide rule, pocket protector, right? So the way they answer that question tells me a lot about who they are. And then I want to ask them, tell me where you're at. And if they're like, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. How many sales did you have in the last 12 months? Ask them. Like, how many sales did they do? I didn't ask them. What do you mean you didn't ask them? That tells me everything about where this person is, right? So we got to have a relation of where they are. And guys, here's the fun part. A lot of people are like, Russ, I don't want to talk to anybody that doesn't have 10 sales for my team or my organization. And I'm like, really? Because I'll tell you what, you got that person that's at 2 or 3 sales. This guy right here, 2 or 3 sales, I guarantee you that guy wants to be at 15 or 20, right? So if you can take somebody from 2 or 3 to 15 or 20, that's game changer. That's life changer. That's changing the trajectory of their family and probably the next generation also. So who can you really make the biggest impact in? And the people you make the biggest impact in are the people most likely to stick. Okay, so let's get to the human nature part of this game and like figure out who this guy is. What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? Okay, and then the second part is, where do you want to be? Okay, so what happens is this guy, if you're hiring people for a team, you're going to get this guy here is going to be like, I want to make $300,000 a year. I want to do 65 sales. They're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wow. The problem is that guy's not likely to want to be on your team because they want to be doing their own thing. Great. So if I could bring you on the team in a scenario where I can help you get up to that and get you running over the next 2 years, you commit to working with me, we'll get to the point where you can be self-sufficient, be over 100 grand a year, and then you could be on target to go wherever you want after that. If you do a 2-year commitment to me, would you take that? So you could just work here 2 years, and then at the 2-year mark, we can sit down and say, hey, you want to go on your own? I'll help you. Or at the 2-year mark, you're like, you know what? I really like being part of the team. I want to stay here. I want to stay in the nest. You're welcome to do that too, but you have both options available to you. So do one of those appeal to you? So now you've got the ability to take these people that want to be ballers, put them in your nest with a committed timeline. We know they're going to do it anyway to us. So let's just get it out on the plate. And what's the fun part is with the EXP ecosystem is you can put them on your team. They could be on the team for 2 years. And then at the 2-year mark, just move them over to the organization. And then I've got somebody, you came in, you did that. Great. You know what? I'm looking for an apprentice. We'll call it team leader apprentice. I'm looking for an apprentice. I'm looking for a Marguerite 2.0. I don't want to be stuck being the only one that runs this thing. Would you have interest in potentially helping share some of the leadership capacity? So for the next year or two, I can have you work alongside me. So here's how this works. For the first 3, 4, 5 months, I want you to shadow me, follow me around, right? For the next 3 or 4, 5 months after that, you and I are going to work on some stuff together. The next 3 or 4, 5 months after that, you're going to work on some stuff, and I'm going to be working with you and shadowing you right behind you. And the next 4 or 5 months after that, I'm going to be putting you on places, and I'm not even be there. Would you be willing to do a plan like that? Now, what happens is you start building in a succession plan. You start building in freedom. So if I can leave my business for a month, come back, and it's either better or the same as it was when I left, I am now free. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing it. It just means I don't have to do that, and I don't have to be there. Listen, guys, I'll say this to Brent Gove to his face, right? I love that guy. That guy's a nut. Absolutely love that guy. Complete nut. And an amazing human being. What happens when Brent doesn't show up? He does have some people, so Brent is the Brent show, right? Like, how do you build a succession plan? Now, Brent does have, by the way, Brent does have James Stroop. James does all the don't do it, don't like it stuff, right? So he's got that part of the game. But so the question of the day is now, who do you empower when you're a guy like that to be able to be Brent 2.0 so that Brent can go off on reservation for 2 or 3 months and not have to be there? So he's got certain people and certain generals that he's putting into place. Nobody will ever be Brent, guys, by the way. But he's got some people and parts and pieces that he's put into place. So he doesn't have to be at every meeting, every week, on every call, and so forth. So he's starting to build in that succession plan where he doesn't have to be there. Gene Frederick's organization is still growing, and he's not actively working it every single day. There's a couple of them that have built that, and there's others of them, if they don't stay on it on a weekly basis, their organizations are dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. And that's just the norm. That's normal for team lead stuff. So you got to start thinking now when you're small, how do I start building in the things so that as I get bigger, I'm empowering other people to come along behind me. I'm empowering other people to get out of my team and into my organization. And I'm empowering these people that want to stay there. Hey, you can stay there the rest of your life. You can stay in the nets the rest of your life. What we're going to find is the people that are good, that we really want on the team, that are going to go after it and drive after it, those people are going to want to get free of you at some point. And you're going to want them to also. You don't want your kids to grow up and say, you know what, Mom, I love you so much. I want to stay with you until you die in your house and they live with you forever. You're like 21. Like I left the house at 18 and I was happy. Okay. If I moved back now, it wouldn't go well. Okay. So you want your kids to grow up and move out and start their own family. It's the same thing we start doing in the real estate business. And so many of our families we're building, you grow them up and you want to keep your kids in the house for the rest of their life. That doesn't do them any good, right? So now you have processes for both, okay? And it all starts with the conversation of where are you at now, where do you want to be, and then how are you going to get there, okay? The fun part about this recipe, guys, that's super important in this process and conversation is this recipe makes it all about them. And then this guy being here, and then what are they going to do to be successful? So Julie's got this guy walks in. Julie, so I'm like 3 sales and I want to do 20. Cool. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to do to get there? How much money do you want to make? I got to make $150,000 a year. Great. Why? What changes if you make $150,000 a year? I've got 3 kids that are under 10. And I got kids I got to put through college and blah, blah, blah. And I've got a job that's paying me 125 now. So I don't want to go to a job that's paying me less. So I want this guy to make more money than I'm doing now and have freedom to do what I need to do instead of having to go to an office every day. Cool, great. So what are you willing to do? I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Okay, so guys, here's the curve that goes along with this. And Marguerite, this was in that other video that I shot with Frank Panunto. As we're doing this conversation with real estate, what we have to realize is that there are three phases. There are three phases in real estate typically. I'm sorry, 4 phases in real estate typically. And then if you get to 4 early enough, you can actually do number 5. And we've got a couple examples of people doing number 5, okay? The first part of people getting into almost any business, and it's just not just real estate, guys, this is almost any business or making a shift, is almost everything in the first stage is about how do you make the amount of money that you need to make. That's phase 1, right? Phase 1 is about money. So the question of the day is typically when I ask a real estate agent, I don't know, I've interviewed a couple thousand of them. When I ask them, well, like, how much money do you want to make? They almost always say 100 grand, unless it's California and they say 2. Okay. So almost everywhere else, it's $100,000 a year. And 2 things that tells me. Number 1, they've never made $100,000 in a year, probably. Because if they've ever made $100,000 in a year, that wouldn't be their goal. Okay. So that's a stretch for them. Okay. So that tells me a lot. Okay. That's why I ask, how much money do you make? How else do you sell? What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? This guy in this first phase, most real estate agents get stuck in this first phase. Okay. When we start this out, we're at what I call 0, 0. 0, 0 is got 0 experience and $0 doing it. Okay. So good news is everything's up from there if you survive long enough. And what happens is a lot of people get stuck in this path, right? So if the goal is 100,000, the national average right now is about $54,000. Is the average real estate agent makes 54. The problem is there's a bunch of us that make way more than that are throwing that average off to the high side. Okay. 50% of real estate agents in most real estate offices do 0 sales. Trust me, guys, I've looked at the metrics. I've looked at the quartile reports on hundreds of these offices and these companies. I had 28 offices under me at one point in a company. And when I started going through who do we have and what are they doing, almost every one of those offices, 50% of people made $0. Okay, so if that's the case, then that means this number is skewed hugely by the people that are making real money, okay? So what happens is they're stuck at the halfway mark. And what we'll find is that the people that are south of 54, these people are where the real opportunity is. Here's the reason why, guys. Let's think of the mindset of this, okay? Why did they get into the business? Did they get into the business to make money? Yeah. Did they get into business for freedom? Did they get in the business because they want to do something different than what they were doing before? Yeah. Did they get in the business a lot of times because they failed at everything else? Sometimes. Did they get into the business because they just are so sick of chasing the 9-to-5 crap and realizing they're never going to be free? Sure. So all the reasons we got into this business, I got into this business, Marguerite got into this business, all of those reasons make us go, I want to be at 100 grand a year. Great. So if nobody got into this business to make 20 and there's a bunch of people making 20, do you think there's some dissatisfaction there? Yeah. So here's the art of sales. The art of salespeople, Russ, you remember we got this drawing before, right? They're here now and they want to be here. And then there's this gap between here. And a lot of people will say, Russ, your job as a salesperson is to close the gap, right? No, your job as a salesperson is to expand the gap. You're like, why would you do that? Because I want to show this guy that in order for them to get here, you need me. If they don't need me, guess what? They don't need me. Not rocket science, okay? So I want this guy to say, you know what, Russ, if I align with you, I'm much better shot at getting to here. And that's when somebody is like, boom, hit the button, join your team, join your org, right? So the whole goal is to make sure we get this guy to see that person can be there and hit their goals and realize their dream. And the best way to do that is by aligning with me. Do you see how you've got a complete shift? It's all about them. And in order for them to get what they want, aligning with me will help them get there. Listen, guys, we got to push this wheelbarrow. It's 400-pound wheelbarrow. You got to get this thing 2 miles down the road. Do you think you got a better shot at getting that down the road by yourself? Or do you think you got a better shot at going down the road if you got me helping you push that wheelbarrow? Here's the fact. So far, your skills at pushing a wheelbarrow got you to 20. How are you going to get to 100? Okay, so where are you at now? Where do you want to be? And then how are you going to get there? Let's talk about that, right? So how are you going to get there? Okay. When you got into this business, how much money do you say you want to make? Guys, keep in mind when they're getting into the real estate business, whether you're looking to add somebody for your team or your organization, when they're getting into the real estate business, it's super important that you understand that they didn't go through the teaching, training, coaching part and go through the state stuff and go through the pre-licensing stuff. And the weirdness and all that stuff. They didn't start that and they're like, you know what? I want to make 20 grand a year. I want to work 40 hours a week and make 20 grand a year. Nobody ever said that, right? Hey, when you got into this business, when you were talking with your husband about stopping doing what you're doing before and getting in to do this, and you were talking about what you're going to do, your goal is to make 100 grand a year, right? Yeah. How does this guy feel? Doesn't feel like a success, right? If that was your goal, are you willing to do what it takes to get there? I'm not talking about cold calling and calling FSBOs and calling expires and banging on doors, right? I'm talking about let's build a business like a business person. If I can show you a couple ways to do that, do you want to do that? Let's get you to this goal. Yeah. Do you see how we've shifted to make it about them and them getting to the first step? Okay. So here's the fun part. So that's the people that are not making what they want to make. So the fun part is this guy's, hey, I'm making 250,000 a year. Cool. Great. So what do you want it to look like? Okay. So the people that have success, the people that have gotten to a number or close to a number on the way to that number, or know if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to get to that number or past that number. There's something that they want, and that's phase 2. Okay. And guys, this happens all the time. So we got to understand when we ask this guy where he's at and where they want to be, this guy's going to tell you where they are on the scale this way. And then this is going to tell you where they want to be next. Okay. So here's the next level for people that finally get to the point where they've got that 100, 200, 300,000 a year. Here's the next level. The next level is, Julie, answer me this question. Julie's making pretty good money. What do you want more than anything right now? That is control of your time, right? Wow, go figure. You know what? When I got to the point where I was closing 130, 140 houses a year in Florida, I had one full-time, one part-time person. You know what I wanted more than anything? Wasn't more money. It was time. Okay, so here's the thing. If you've got somebody north of this 50 or so, halfway to what their number is, the first thing I would do is, okay, so Julie, here's the deal. You want to make 100 grand a year. Yes, you're halfway there. There's a couple of things we can do to help you go from point A to point B. But in the process of doing that, why don't we do this too? Because what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to get to 100 grand a year and go, okay, I made it. And I'm working 24/7. Like I hear realtors like, I'm a realtor 24/7. No, you're an idiot. Every time you say that, I just see idiot and hear idiot. Nobody ever signed up there. This guy never said, you know what? I want to work 24/7 to make 100 grand a year. Said nobody ever, right? 100 grand a year? Yeah. But you're going to work 24/7. Nope, I'm out. That's why they get stuck here. Okay. So with that being said, if you're making the money you want to make, then the next thing that's important to you is time. So let's do this. In the process of making 100 grand, why don't we make sure you get to 100 grand and you're not working 50 hours a week? Because what happens is we get to that number, that magical number, whatever that is. And then we're like, yeah, but now I don't want to have to work every evening and every weekend, be on call all the time and have my dinner interrupted and my breakfast interrupted and have people texting me at 2 a.m. because they're drunk and they're stupid and they want to talk about the house, right? I don't want that. I want to have control of my time. That's the next step in the next phase in a business success, right? So why don't we start building in that time success in the process? Wouldn't that be a better way to build a business? And most people look at me and they're like, yeah, I would love that. Okay. So if we could build your business where you're making 100 grand and you're working 40 hours a week or less, does that make sense? Is that something you want to do? Yeah. Cool. This guy doesn't even know that's possible. This guy has no clue. So this guy really should be working on phase 1 and phase 2. I want to build a business that gets there and I want to be able to have control of my time. Okay. And there's a couple of techniques you could teach people to have better control of their time, right? Okay, so now here's the thing. When you get the amount of money you need every month coming in and every year coming in, and you've got control of your time, what does that person want? Because you're like, okay, where are you at now? I'm making $400,000 a year. I'm working 40 hours a week or less. And most people are like, freaking congratulations, you're doing better than me. What the hell does that guy want? You're good, right? But no, that guy wants something too, because that guy wants something different, right? Now that guy wants freedom, okay? That guy wants freedom. Phase 3 is freedom. Phase 3 is also, I've used a lot of times used the term exit. Okay. And freedom and exit is this. Okay. That third phase is, okay, I'm doing these two. And in the process of doing these two, I'm going to do this to the point where I don't have to trade time for money anymore. When I don't have to do this and I have enough money to live out the rest of my life, barring it's more than a day. Right? I'd like you to live to a ripe old age and be able to afford to do that. Okay. When you can stop working today and live the lifestyle you're living now comfortably to the point where you die, hopefully a long time from now, that's the true freedom, right? Now I don't have to do this. And I hear people say this all the time, Russ, well, I don't think I'm ever going to stop working. Good. You don't have to. You could work for the rest of your life. You could work it literally till the day you die. That's fine. But I want you to do it because you want to, not because you have to. See, in the real estate business, you guys have heard this a million times. Real estate agents don't retire, they die. And that's because most of them never get past this money freedom part to be able to focus on the time freedom part. And they certainly haven't saved enough and have enough cash flow unless they've got some other significant person in their life with a bunch of dollars. They haven't got themselves to the point in their business where they can actually build in that freedom and have that exit where I don't have to do this. I'm doing it because I want to. Okay. So here's the beauty. When I ask this guy, where you at? Where do you want to be? And they're like, I'm doing pretty good. And I got pretty good control of my time. It's great. Are you making enough money? Yeah. Are you controlling your time? Yeah. What's next? Like, how do we set you up to have that exit moment where you don't have to do this anymore? That's where some of these people say, if you could save, you're going to work for the next 10 years, 15 years in business. If you could save $15,000 a year in real estate costs times 10 years, another 150 grand, plus we can invest in ourselves at EXP. We can invest 5% of every one of our checks in ourselves. You're doing 300 GCI. That's 15 more grand a year. There's another 150. Plus the company's going to sell you the stock at a discount, which puts more dollars in your pocket. So now you're 300,000 ahead of the next 10-year mark. So in the next 10 years, you'd get 300 more thousand ahead just by saving dollars, not paying it out, and then investing in yourself. Just with those two things alone, you're $300,000 ahead in the 10-year mark. How would you like to have an extra 300 grand at the 10-year mark? Does that help you with this freedom thing and this exit thing? Now, here's the fun part. In the process of building this, I have the ability to add people to my organization. Marguerite, how many houses are you selling a year?
About 30 to 35.
Okay, 30 to 35. Okay. Are any of them listings?
Yes, most of them.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So let's say 20 of them are listings.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do 20 listings. Great. So that's pretty good. So you're making good money. Good. You controlling your time?
Yeah, pretty good for the most
Okay.
part.
Good. So here's the fun part. In the process of doing those 30 sales in a year, how many of those 30 sales have another real estate agent on the other side of the deal?
Probably the majority of them, probably 28 of them.
Okay. So 28 of them have another real estate agent on the other side of the deal. And how many years have you been doing this for?
30.
Okay. So let's just say the last 10, would you say it's pretty normal for you to do 28 and 30 sales a year for the last 10?
I used to do much bigger numbers. I've sold over 4,000 homes, but it's the last couple of years I've slowed way down because I don't have to work. So.
Okay, good. So let's just take conservative number. Let's just say you've had 280 real estate agents on the other sides of deals in the last 10 years, right?
Okay.
There's your sphere of influence of people that should know and trust you already. So in the process of doing business with any of those people, did they enjoy doing business with you?
Hopefully, most of them did.
Okay. This is your sphere of influence of real estate people. Okay. So here's the recipe that really goes with this. Okay. And I want you guys to understand that for most people, this recipe is going to be the most important recipe that they can know for a bunch of different reasons. Okay. Plus people equals plus house sales equals plus cash equals plus people that want to sell more houses with you and plus realtors. Okay. So here's your recipe. The more people you know and you deliver value to them, the more houses you're going to sell. So welcome to a sphere of influence business. If my sphere is 500 people, I should be able to drive 50 sales out of my sphere of influence every year. If you guys don't know how to do that, you got to learn how to do that. I actually have an 8-module training system on how to do that. If you guys would like to see that, I'd be happy to turn you loose with that. It's free. I had a separate setup built just for you guys, EXP people, because people ask me for it all the time. It's really stupid. It's really simple. It's 3 recipes that help you sell more houses and get your sphere of influence coming to you by looking like an expert, smelling like an expert, and talking like an expert. Okay. If you guys would like access to that, I can give that access to you guys. Just do the 8 modules, follow the steps, follow the bouncing ball, and you'll be like, dang, over the next 12 months, my sphere is really starting to come to me instead of me chasing it. Pretty cool, right? Okay. And here's the fun part. The more houses I sell, the more money I make. The more money I make, the more people I take care of that do a good job, which refer me more business. This is how you build a referral business / sphere of influence business. Okay. And the fun part is the byproduct of doing this is I bump into other realtors. So in the 30 sales or so, I've got 28 of these other people on the other side of the deal. And if I do a really good job on the deal, people are like, man, you're really good to do business with. I really like you. Great. Cool. So these are my sphere of influence. So I've got 2 spheres of influence. I've got a sphere of influence, of people selling houses. And then I have a second sphere of influence of people that are on the other sides of deals selling houses. Okay. So Marguerite, here's the rub. People say to me, Russ, how do I do more attraction? How do I attract more people to my team? Number one, I'm going to say the people on the other sides of these transactions, these guys, those are going to be your most likely suspects because you already know them. Do you want to hire people you don't know at all? No, you did a deal with them. They were reasonably nice. Those are my most likely suspects. Some of those people are down here and would like to be up here. Can I help show you how to get here? Ah, cool. But here's the rub, guys. People go, Russ, I don't do that many sales. I only do 10 sales. Great. Do you do any listings? Okay, so let me ask you this question. Matthew Taylor, I'm glad you made it, brother. Okay, let me ask you a question. Any listings in the last year?
Oh, yes.
Okay, more than one?
Yes, 5.
Would you like me? Okay, 5. Good. So would you like me to show you something really dirty little secret on how to build a massive sphere of influence of real estate agents fast?
Yes.
Okay, watch this. Guys ready? I list a house and sell a house, okay? How many real estate agents are attached to this deal?
2.
2?
Mhm.
Okay, so you got you and them, okay? You already own you, you're already with you, you've already joined you, so you're good. So we have one other person, okay? Anybody else for our sphere of influence?
Oh, title reps are talking about.
Okay, so put a seatbelt on, guys. Ready for this?
Everyone that scheduled a showing.
Yes. Okay. Everybody schedule a showing. Yes. Okay. Good. How many of those are there? Let's just say 20. Okay. Okay. So here's the deal. When the property goes under contract, they're in my sphere of influence. Anybody showed the property, and I'm going to do a really simple process with every one of them. Hey, this is Russ, the real estate dude. That property at 906 West Harvard that just went under contract. I want to let you know we listed the property, went under contract. I know you guys showed the property, and by the way, I just put you on a list so that if another property comes up like that, I'll let you know first. And they're like, really? Because guys, in most places around the country, we have low supply. So if you've got a pocket listing, you get a listing and you could turn it loose with the people that showed the previous properties. You already know the buyers are looking for a house like that. That's why they looked at yours. If they put an offer on it, they really liked it. So why not make a connection with those? Worst case scenario, guys, I reach out to them, just say, hey, I just want to let you know the property went under contract. And just so you know, every once in a while, one of these comes up. If another one comes up like that, I'll make sure you know about it before it goes on the market. Does that sound good? And they're like, dude, thanks for calling me, number one. And secondly, yeah, hell yeah. Oh yeah, and by the way, I do a market update every month that tells you what's going on in the market. I'm going to send that to you too, what's going on in the market. If you see anything different, let me know. Or if you do one, send me yours too. Cool? Good, great. Hey, it was nice talking to you. Nice doing business with you. That's how you make a really good lasting connection. And boom, now that person goes in my sphere of influence. Where before it's just a contact, now it's a person in my sphere. I've got their info, I got their name, number. I'm also able to add value to them on a monthly basis. Okay, huge win. Okay, so there's 20 of those. Okay, who else? You got your title person, right? You've got your mortgage person, right? On most deals still, a lot of deals still. You've got your insurance person, right? Yep. You've got your inspector on each deal, right? Okay, your title person knows 200 agents. Your mortgage person or their mortgage person knows 200 agents. Insurance person knows 200 agents, and your inspector knows 200 agents. So in one listing, you've got 821 people you can have touch with. Now, the good part is you've only got 1, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25. So 25 actual people, but the total touch is 821 on one listing. So what you do is say, hey, title person, by the way, just so you know, every month I do a real estate market update that tells people what's going on in the market. And by the way, you can take that same info and start sending it out to all the agents you know. You can either send mine out if you want, because I do mine non-branded, or you can just take the stuff that came out of my pie hole, make it come out of your pie hole, and you can use that every month to send to all your realtors, and it'll get the realtors to start coming to you. And the title person does what? They go, oh, that's a good idea, Russ. Thank you. And the mortgage person goes, oh my gosh, I wish I'd thought of that. So I've got mortgage people around the country, and I've got Ruth Peoples, and I've got Michelle King, and I've got Robert Harris, and I got Larry Plouffe. All of those guys are guys that I met that did that with, and I just send them my market update. Half of them just forwarded my market update to all the other agents they knew. Guess what happens? Now the other agents are starting to see me as their expert. So in the process of just doing a house sale, I have the opportunity to be able to meet people, touch people, and then grow them. And then when they finally are like, hey man, how you doing? Great. Hey, you want to have a sit down and to have a conversation? What's going on? Hey, by the way, how's the market going for you? What's working? What's not working? Where are you at now? Like, let's compare them. Where do you want to be? What do you want your business to look like? And I informally walk them through this conversation. It tells me where they're at in this game. Hey, by the way, if there's 2 or 3 things I could show you to help you go from where you are to where you want to be, Would you like to talk about that? They're like, yeah, absolutely. Because I've got the credibility to do it. Do you see how it completely shifts and it works with the way human beings work? And you've got massive opportunity in every single listing, particularly, but even on the buy side, when I'm working the buy side, every single place I show a house for, hey, buyer's agent, just want to give you some feedback. Oh yeah, and by the way, I do a market update every month that tells you what's going on in the market. So I show 20 homes to my buyer. My buyer doesn't buy any of them. How do I turn that into an opportunity? That's 20 listing agents that I can call and say, hey, by the way, I know you're always looking for feedback and nobody ever calls you back. I'm the guy that actually does that. And by the way, here's a couple of notes on what I saw with the house. By the way, it's priced right, looked good, smelled good, tastes good. These buyers just the wrong location, whatever. The house is great. I think the pricing on that thing is great. I think you did a good job. That thing should go pretty quick. And by the way, I do a market update every month that tells you what's going on in the market. I'll shoot that over to you too. If you see anything different, let me know. Now I
Where
start
can we see
building.
examples of your market update, Russ?
No. Would you guys like a video on how to do a good market update?
Yes.
Okay, it's in the modules. Would you like a couple samples of the video market update?
Yes, please.
It's in the modules. Would you like to see the recipes that I use to get more houses to come to me? And
Yes, please.
market update being 1, building a preferred contractor list 2, and then doing social media correctly, 3, that's in the modules. Okay. You guys got a pen and paper close by?
Yep.
Ready?
And down.
Jumpstartmasterclass.com. Jumpstartmasterclass.com. Okay. So I had a business partner and let's see, about 50% of a brokerage in 14, sold as a fix and flipper in 15. Met one of my favorite people in the world. His name's Adrian Petrilla. He's in EXP. He's also my sponsor. He's the reason I'm here for the first time and also the reason I came back. Part of the reason I came back, and he asked me to build out the modules and update the modules that I used to use and we used to sell for a couple $1,000s to teach people how to do this. Okay. It's super simple, guys. It's not super technical. It's not extra fancy. It's just me with a bald head on those videos, walking people through how to run those things and just work those 8 modules for the next 12 months and your sphere starts coming to you. Okay. And use those same exact 3 modules to send to everybody in your sphere of influence for your sphere for house sales and your sphere for agents. And if you do that, you'll have agents start coming to you over the next 12 months also.
Do we need any kind of key code or anything to access it, or
You
just
just
our
gotta
name?
go in and register. It's free. There's no charge to it. I have a different version. So you hear me reference unlimited closings. You'll see my business partner, Adrian. He's Romanian, by the way. And he does one of the intros and that's his stuff that I help do the back end for him. And it just has saved. I'm like, dude, make a clone version for me so that I can let other people have that are EXP. Otherwise I'd have 4,000 EXP people in there. I don't want 4,000 people in his attraction thing. Okay. So he uses that. He's like, if I can show you a couple of recipes of this, you want to join us? And he just uses that for the attraction.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This has been phenomenal. I know you have another thing you have to get to.
I do.
Anybody have any questions before we let him loose?
That was all great. I took a lot of notes because I've watched
I
your
did
video.
too.
Yeah, that's really great.
You see how this stuff ties in, and I can tell you that story on how that worked 5 times, and you're like, oh, and your brain starts to click and lock it. Guys, listen, this is 10 years of banging my head against the wall. That's the result of 10 years of banging my head against the wall. I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody fits in these categories. Like, why did I think I had 10 years? You can't see it until you can see it. It's just part of the game.
Well, it's amazing. And it's similar actually to, I did a podcast with Dean Jackson years ago where he talks about how to 5 times every listing. It's a really good one. If you guys go check it out on realestaterealworld.com, you can check out that podcast with Dean Jackson.
Awesome.
But it's very similar, right? To how can you take one and branch it out? And I think that this has been phenomenal. And I'm so grateful for you making time for us today.
I'm glad I was able to make it out today. So I got to jump, guys. I'll catch
For
up
the
with you soon.
OCD in this, Russ? For the OCD in number 4, the label on number 4 behind you.
Label item number 4 is legacy.
Thank you, sir. I
Legacy.
can think tonight.
Yep. Sorry. So once you get to the point where you got freedom and exit, then you start thinking like, how do I leave a mark and how do I help other people? And then once you got once you got it set up where you have a legacy, then you start teaching. Step 5 is how to teach other people how to build their legacy. So like Gene Fredericks is teaching other people how to build their legacy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's teaching other people how to build their legacy. He's got plenty of money. He's got everything else he needs. But now what excites him? Helping Marguerite make $1 million a year, helping Tom make $1 million a year, helping Matthew make $1 million a year. That becomes more exciting once you got your stuff set up. Help other people become wealthy.
Exactly.
Good. Almost 100% the reason why I am the way I am. And by the way, I have a full head of hair now. You check this out.
Oh, yeah.
I like a couple of years in the previous brokerage, I ripped all my hair out. So now it's growing back because I'm happy. Kidding. All right, I gotta go. See you guys.
Thanks again. Bye-bye, everybody.